You know that sinking feeling when you realize someone has been treating you like their personal assistant rather than a human being? That moment when it clicks that every favor, every yes, every time you bent over backward wasn't seen as generosity but as your job. It's devastating because you start questioning everything. Was I too available? Did I signal that my time doesn't matter? And here's what most people don't want to hear. The answer is probably yes. But before you spiral into self-blame, understand this. The people who take advantage of you aren't evil masterminds. They're simply responding to the energy you put out. You've been broadcasting a signal that says, "My needs come second," and they've been receiving it loud and clear. The beautiful thing about signals, though, is you can change the frequency anytime you want. Today, I'm sharing 5 psychological principles that will rewire how you show up in the world and how the world responds to you. If you've ever felt like you're everyone's second choice, or the person people call when they need something but never when they want to celebrate, this is your wake-up call. Here's the first principle that changes everything. Generosity without boundaries becomes servitude. We live in a culture that glorifies the giver, the helper, the one who sacrifices. But there's a dark side to unlimited giving that nobody talks about. When you give without limits, you're not being noble, you're training people to see you as a resource rather than a relationship.
Picture this scenario. You're the friend who always covers dinner when someone forgets their wallet. The first time, you feel good about helping. The second time, you notice they didn't even reach for their purse. By the 5th time, you realize they're ordering the most expensive thing on the menu because they know you'll pay. What started as kindness has morphed into exploitation, not because they're terrible people, but because you never drew a line. Research in behavioral psychology shows that humans naturally test boundaries. It's not malicious, it's instinctual. We push until we hit resistance, then we calibrate our behavior based on what we find. If you never push back, people unconsciously learn that there are no limits with you. Your generosity becomes expected, then demanded, then resented when you finally try to pull back. The transformation happens when you realize that saying no isn't selfish, it's strategic. Every no to something that drains you is a yes to something that fulfills you. And here's the paradox. When you become selective with your generosity, people value it more, not less. The second principle is this: your energy follows your standards. Most people have this backward. They think if they're extra nice, extra accommodating, extra understanding, people will naturally reciprocate. But human psychology doesn't work that way. People don't respect what comes too easily. Think about how you treat things you get for free versus things you pay for. The free sample gets tossed in a drawer and forgotten. The expensive purchase gets treated with care. Your time and energy work the same way. When you give them away freely, people unconsciously devalue them. I learned this the hard way in my career. I used to answer emails immediately, stay late to help colleagues, and never push back on unreasonable requests. Did people appreciate my dedication? Not really. They just learned that I was the path of least resistance. But when I started setting clearer expectations, responding to non-urgent emails within 24 hours instead of 24 minutes, and saying I can help with that, but not until Thursday, something shifted. People started planning better, respecting my time, and ironically appreciating my help more when I did give it.
Your standards aren't walls to keep people out. They're filters to let the right people in. When you raise your standards, some people will complain. Good! Those are the people who are benefiting from your low standards. The third principle is about where you invest your emotional energy. Your attention is your most precious resource, and you've been giving it away like it's unlimited. But here's the truth. Where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, life grows. If you're constantly focused on people who barely acknowledge your existence, you're growing relationships that will never bloom. Start auditing your emotional investments. Who do you text first? Who checks in on when they're quiet? Who do you worry about? Now flip it. Who texts you first? Who checks on you? Who worries about your well-being? If there's a massive imbalance, you've found your problem. I want you to try something radical for the next 2 weeks. Stop being the initiator in your one-sided relationships. Don't text first,
Don't make the plans. Don't be the one who reaches out when there's silence. See what happens. Some people will step up because they genuinely care about you. Others will fade away because they only cared about what you provided. Both outcomes are victories because now you have clarity. The fourth principle is perhaps the most liberating. You don't need to defend your worth to people who refuse to see it. There's a special kind of exhaustion that comes from constantly justifying your decisions to people who will never support them. You explain why you can't work late again, they call you uncommitted. You explain why you need space in a friendship, they call you distant. You explain why you won't lend money again, they call you selfish. Here's what I've learned. People who benefit from your compliance will always frame your boundaries as character flaws. It's not about you, it's about protecting their access to you. When you realize this, everything changes. You stop crafting perfect explanations. You stop trying to make your boundaries sound reasonable to unreasonable people. You simply state your position and let them react however they need to. The magic phrase that will change your life is this: that doesn't work for me. Not, I'm sorry, but, not, I wish I could, but, just, that doesn't work for me. You don't owe anyone a dissertation on why you deserve respect. Your comfort and peace of mind don't require a defense attorney.
The fifth and most powerful principle is learning to value your own absence. This is where most people get stuck because walking away feels like giving up, but there's a profound difference between giving up and knowing your worth. When you remove yourself from situations where you're not valued, you're not being dramatic, you're being strategic. The fear of walking away keeps us trapped in mediocre relationships, unfulfilling jobs, and situations that drain our soul. We think if we just try harder, give more, be more understanding, things will change. But here's the reality. You can't love someone into respecting you, and you can't sacrifice your way into being valued. Walking away doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you start caring about yourself enough to demand reciprocity. And something beautiful happens when you master this skill. The people who truly value you will work to keep you. The people who don't will reveal themselves by letting you go without a fight. Either way, you win. When you combine all these principles, you create a complete transformation in how you move through the world. You stop being the person everyone calls when they need something and start being the person everyone wants to celebrate with. You stop chasing people who run from commitment and start attracting people who choose you consistently. You stop explaining your worth and start embodying it. This isn't about becoming cold or calculating. It's about becoming selective. It's about understanding that your time, energy, and love are finite resources that deserve to be invested wisely. When you treat yourself as valuable, the world follows suit. The shift starts now. Today, practice saying no to one thing that doesn't serve you. Tomorrow, invest your attention in someone who invests back. This week, stop explaining yourself to people who aren't listening anyway. This month, walk away from one situation that drains more than it gives. Your worth isn't negotiable. Your time isn't unlimited. Your energy isn't renewable. Treat them like the precious resources they are and watch how quickly people adjust their behavior to match your new standards. You're not asking for too much. You've just been accepting too little. Change the signal, change your life.